Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. So today I am going to be creating a cutout page with a peep through window, and it has little interactive parts in it too. So I'm starting off using that Helix circle, an angle maker, and I've just drawn a circle onto my page. So I'm going to first of all cut that out. I'm using my scalpel to do this, and you notice I'm just turning my book as I go. It's much easier to do it that way than to try to twist and turn your hand. So then I'm then going to draw that circle shape through onto the page behind, and instead of I've just actually cut it straight through, but you could draw it first if you wanted to. And then I will save those circles for another project. So now I've got two pages with this cutout circle, so obviously they're going to be fixed together at some point. And I'm going in with mineral and adding some of that to the front page and the very back page too. And then I'm using turquoise. My brush was a little bit wet there. I didn't want it to be quite so wet, so I did just dry it off a little bit on a piece of kitchen towel. And then I'm using this Marks stencil from Dina Wakley and going in with the same colours and just adding some marks onto that paint to break it up a bit. So this is a stamp from Tim Holt's Media Marks set, and I'm using some Distress ink with those and just adding some more interest onto these pages. So I'm using blues and colours that kind of coordinate really with the colours I've already chosen while I'm building up some of the marks on the page. It's a really great set of stamps. If you're not in the mood for doing your own mark making, you can just grab those and stick some of them on your page, and they work really well. So you'll notice that magically a sun has appeared on the page. I did draw that sun. I was intending to use it on my page, and then I decided that actually I didn't want to in the end. So that's a piece of acetate that I've just cut, and that is going to go between these two circles. So on this piece of acetate I am just going to paint some cloud shapes. You notice I'm just kind of like dotting my brush on because I quite like the texture that the brush makes onto the acetate. And I'm just building up the colours, so I'm now going in with a bit of white, and you can see how well it pops when you see it against the craft on the page. You can see that those colours do stand out, and adding a little bit of grey in there too, and then drying that really carefully. And then once it was dry, I'm just using the end of a pen and I'm just kind of scratching into that paint, and it just lifts a little bit of it off and adds a bit more interest and texture into those clouds. So I really didn't feel that sun was working, so I kind of put that to one side. So just adding some double-sided sticky tape in there to stick that in place. I was still umming and ahhing about that, but then I got out this set of stamps from Art by Marlene and found there was a sun in there, and decided that I was going to have the sun and the little clouds hanging down in the middle of the page. So I painted them in using these watercolour paints. These paints are a mix of Prima watercolour and Winsor & Newton, ones that I've had for quite a long time. And you notice I'm painting it on and then using my tissue and just dabbing some of the paint off, just so it's got a little bit more contrast in the colour and how it's applied. And then carefully cut those out, and then painted the back of them as well, and drew the same pattern that was on the front onto the back. You can imagine that sun was a little bit fiddly to cut out, but just have to take your time, don't you? You know, cutting out is not one of my favourite things to do. So then I cut an identical piece of card out and stuck it to the back with the piece of cotton in the middle, and did the same with the clouds, just so that I could stick those in and they would be the same image on the front and the back. This was quite fiddly, but when it was finished I really liked how it came together. So then I got my paints out again, added the colour onto them, as you can see. This was actually quite quick, really. And then once they were dry, I then used quite a fine line pen and added the pattern on so that they matched the other side. I mean, you could just as easily stamp them again if you wanted to, but it was a little bit easier to just draw them on. So then I added some more tape at the sides of the page and stuck these things on the cotton so they were at different heights and overlapped a little bit. Added some glue on the other side to make sure it would all stay in place. And stuck the page down. So then I wanted to add this chipboard shape on. This is from Dina Wakley, and I've painted it black, and then I'm doing some journaling onto the figure, and that's just going to stand on that right hand side. Then I wanted to do a little bit of doodling on the page too, so I'm just outlining some of those shapes that we stenciled on, and just playing really. Just sometimes it is just about having a jolly good play. Then using the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, I'm just stapling that figure in place. And then I always like to just really firmly push the back of the staples into the page, just so I don't catch myself on them. Just me being a bit more cautious. So then I decided that I would do some writing around the edge of the circle. And I'm just doing this using quite a thin gel pen. And starting the quote at the top and then going down to the bottom. If life gives you cloudy days, make your own sunshine. And there we go, that's how you can kind of see through the little page, and the little the sun and the clouds move. I was really pleased with how this came together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, a little bit more involved, a bit longer today. Thanks for watching and sticking with it, and I'll see you again soon.